When you step into the feeling of being unforgettable, the universe begins to bend itself around that conviction. You do not need to beg for attention or chase their thoughts. Your only task is to assume that you already occupy their mind. The world outside only echoes what you are being within. Your inner state is the invisible force that determines how others perceive you, think of you, and respond to you. It is the subtle energy you carry within, the quiet conviction that you are already unforgettable, that imprints itself on the world around you. When you decide, without hesitation or doubt, that you are the kind of person who leaves a mark on hearts and minds, something extraordinary begins to happen. Attention gravitates toward you naturally, effortlessly, without any need for manipulation or force. This is not about actions or words alone. Anyone can speak or perform gestures, but few understand that it is the inner feeling, the unshakable belief in one's own worth, that actually draws attention. The moment you embody that feeling fully, your presence becomes magnetic and the world responds to it in ways that may seem almost magical. You are not waiting for someone to notice, recognize, or affirm your uniqueness. Waiting implies lack, desire, or incompletion, and it creates a tension that pushes people away. Instead, you are creating the reality you wish to experience. Your attention is no longer focused outward on whether others are thinking of you or noticing you. It is focused inward on sustaining the state of being unforgettable, of being desired, of being remembered. In this state, your energy communicates itself silently, and the world, being a mirror of consciousness, responds in kind. You become the center of unseen attention simply because you have chosen to place yourself there. Consider the difference between those who hope for attention and those who know they deserve it. The hopeful individual is restless, anxious, constantly measuring their worth by the reactions they receive. Their energy is scattered, weak, and inconsistent. Those who know their inner worth, on the other hand, radiate a quiet, unshakable confidence. Their energy is coherent, consistent, and potent. It creates a field that cannot be ignored. You do not have to announce yourself. The universe will reflect your inner state in the outer world. Their minds are naturally drawn toward the energy you project. They begin to think of you, often without knowing why, because your inner certainty communicates itself louder than words or gestures ever could. This magnetic effect is not an act. It is a state of being. You are not pretending to be unforgettable. You are embodying the truth that you already are. Every thought you hold about yourself, every feeling you cultivate, every inner declaration of your own value becomes a signal to the world, an instruction to the universe to arrange events, encounters, and circumstances that confirm your assumption. By being fully present in this state, you eliminate the need for external proof. You do not wait for the outer world to catch up. You hold the inner reality first, knowing that the outer world will inevitably reflect it. When you live in this awareness, you notice subtle signs: a glance, a word, a smile, a lingering thought from someone else. These are not random, they are the natural consequences of your inner state. People begin to gravitate toward you because your energy is undeniable. Their attention is not coerced. It is drawn effortlessly, as if your very presence calls to them. And the more you sustain this inner reality, the stronger the pull becomes. It is a law, not a wish, a natural consequence of living from the state of already being unforgettable. This is the power of your inner state. It creates their focus. By deciding, fully and without doubt, that you are unforgettable, you are no longer dependent on external validation. You are the cause of their attention, their admiration, and their lingering thoughts. You are not waiting for proof. You are actively creating it silently from the inside out. And when you understand this truth, you step into a life where the universe itself conspires to confirm your inner assumption, arranging everything so that your presence is felt, remembered, and thought of long after you are gone. The moment you cultivate the feeling of being deeply wanted, of being desired, something shifts within you that cannot be replicated by words, actions, or appearances alone. This feeling is not dependent on anyone's acknowledgement or behavior. It exists entirely within your own consciousness. When you step into this state, you stop chasing validation, seeking approval, or measuring your worth by the attention others give you. Instead, you radiate a quiet certainty that draws people, circumstances, and experiences toward you. There is a subtle but undeniable magnetism in living from this inner knowing, because the world is a reflection of the state you occupy. When your inner reality is one of being deeply desired, the universe bends itself to mirror this truth, presenting evidence of desire and attraction in ways that feel effortless, natural, and inevitable. To feel the certainty of being desired is to occupy a frequency that cannot be ignored. It is not boastful or desperate, it is calm, unwavering, and self-assured. Those who live from this feeling understand that desire is not something to be pursued. It is something that responds to their inner state. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. Instead, you allow the feeling of being desired to exist fully within you, and that feeling alone becomes your most powerful form of attraction. Every movement, every glance, every word, every breath carries the energy of someone who is already deeply wanted, and the universe responds by arranging outer circumstances that confirm this inner reality. Most people search for external signs of desire, relying on behaviors, words, or events to prove that they are wanted. This approach is always uncertain, always conditional, because it places the source of validation outside themselves. When you feel the certainty of being desired, you invert this dynamic. Your source is within, independent of external conditions. Your sense of being wanted does not fluctuate with someone else's attention, because it is anchored in your own consciousness. And when your inner world is anchored in desire, the outer world inevitably reflects it. People are drawn to you effortlessly, circumstances unfold in your favor, and the subtle yet undeniable proof of being wanted appears everywhere you look. The beauty of this feeling is that it is self-sustaining. You do not need constant reassurance. The feeling is complete in itself. You live from the end, already wanted, already desired, already admired, and every moment reinforces this inner truth. As you sustain this state, the universe aligns to present experiences, encounters, and messages that confirm your assumption. You begin to notice small signs of attention, a lingering glance, a thoughtful message, a gesture that indicates someone is thinking of you. These are not random events, they are natural consequences of your inner frequency of certainty and desirability. The outer world becomes a mirror of the inner reality you have chosen to inhabit. Feeling the certainty of being desired transforms your very presence. It changes the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you hold your energy. You exude confidence, allure, and calm assurance, not because you are forcing it, but because it arises naturally from the inner state you occupy. This magnetic vibration does not require effort. It is effortless because it is real. People are naturally drawn to it, finding themselves thinking of you, seeking your presence, and desiring to be near the energy you radiate. The most profound truth is that desire is not a commodity that is given or taken, it is a reflection of consciousness. When you feel deeply wanted within, the universe arranges all outer circumstances to confirm it. You no longer need to chase, worry, or persuade. The reality you experience becomes a perfect reflection of the certainty you maintain inside. You have become the embodiment of being desired, and the world responds flawlessly, as if it had been waiting for you to claim this inner truth all along. Imagination is far more powerful than most people realize. It is not simply a tool for daydreaming or idle fantasy. It is the creative engine behind all attraction, all connection, and all experiences that manifest in the outer world. Every time you imagine someone thinking of you, missing you, or longing for your presence, you are planting seeds in the fertile soil of consciousness. These seeds, nurtured by your vivid inner experience, take root and grow until they blossom naturally in the minds and hearts of those you focus upon. Imagination is not a passive act, it is the active creation of reality, the silent shaping of the unseen forces that govern attention, desire, and emotional connection. When you imagine someone thinking of you, do not merely hold a vague picture in your mind. See it clearly, feel it deeply, and embody the reality of it as if it is already happening. Imagine them smiling at your thought, feeling warmth and longing, replaying moments of joy and connection. Imagine the little ways in which your presence lingers in their mind, the subtle ways in which they feel drawn to you, even when you are apart. Every detail you add strengthens the seed, making it impossible for the outer world to resist, eventually reflecting what you have already planted inside. The more vividly you imagine it, the more real it becomes, because consciousness does not distinguish between what is imagined with feeling and what is experienced externally. Many people underestimate the power of this inner act because they focus only on outer signs. They wait for messages, meetings, or gestures to confirm that they are remembered or desired. But in truth, the outer world is simply a mirror of the inner state. If you are imagining them thinking of you with intensity and emotional certainty, the world must eventually conform. Your imagination is the seed, and reality is the fertile ground in which it grows. The universe does not differentiate between real events and the imagined acts that are felt with conviction. When your imagination is alive with certainty, it is the most reliable source of attraction and influence. This process requires faith in your own inner power. You cannot doubt the unseen while expecting it to manifest. Every moment you allow your imagination to dwell on them, thinking of you, missing you, and desiring your presence, you are sending a vibrational signal to the universe that cannot be ignored. It is like planting countless invisible threads between your consciousness and theirs, threads that pull their attention, emotions, and thoughts toward you effortlessly. This is not manipulation, nor is it an attempt to control them externally. It is the natural consequence of living in the inner reality that you wish to see reflected outside. The more you imagine, the more you inhabit this state. It becomes second nature to feel that they are constantly aware of your presence in subtle ways, that you linger in their thoughts, and that your energy continues to captivate them even when you are not physically near. As you sustain this inner reality, you notice signs appearing in the outer world, a message, a glance, a word that seems to echo your imagination. These are not coincidences, they are the harvest of the seeds you have diligently planted in the fertile ground of consciousness. Imagination is, therefore, the most profound form of creative power. Every mental image, every emotional feeling you attach to it, is an act of planting the seeds of attraction in their mind. As you imagine consistently, the universe works silently to bring those seeds to fruition, arranging circumstances and encounters that make the invisible seen. Your inner world becomes the blueprint for the outer reality, and the more vivid, detailed, and emotionally real your imagination, the more unstoppable the manifestation. You are not waiting for them to notice or desire you, you are creating the reality in which they inevitably do, because imagination is the seed, and the world faithfully blooms in response to what you plant within. Detaching from the visible world is one of the most powerful yet overlooked principles of manifestation. Most people are endlessly reactive, measuring their worth and the likelihood of being thought of, desired, or loved based on what they see, hear, or experience externally. They look for signs in text messages, social media activity, casual gestures, or outward attention, and allow these appearances to dictate their inner state. But the truth is, the outer world is merely a reflection and echo of your inner consciousness. It is a canvas that mirrors what you feel, believe, and imagine. Until you detach from the visible, until you stop allowing outer circumstances to define your reality, you will remain trapped in the fluctuations of someone else's behavior. Detachment does not mean indifference or passivity. It does not mean ignoring people or situations entirely. It means recognizing the primacy of your inner world. Your inner state is the cause, the source, and the visible world is the effect. The moment you fully internalize this, you stop reacting to appearances. If they seem distant, distracted, or unaware of your presence, you no longer let this disturb your sense of certainty. You know that the outer behavior is only temporary, only a reflection of past states or surface level appearances, while your inner consciousness holds the eternal truth, that you are already their constant thought, their unseen fascination, their inner longing. The challenge lies in the temptation to validate reality through the senses. It is tempting to check messages, interpret behaviors, or seek reassurance from their actions. But each of these attempts only strengthens the power of the visible world over your consciousness. When you detach, you shift the source of reality from the outside in. You begin to live as if the unseen is more real than what appears before your eyes. You cultivate a rich inner life where they are already thinking of you, already drawn to you, already captivated by your essence. This inner world becomes the foundation upon which all outer events are built, and the more you dwell here, the more the universe is compelled to arrange external circumstances to confirm it. Faith in the unseen is the key. You must remain loyal to the inner reality, regardless of what outer appearances suggest. Every moment spent doubting the unseen is a moment that slows manifestation. Instead, hold steadfast to the vision of their attention, longing, and constant thought. The outer world may seem to contradict it, but that is only because it reflects prior conditions, old energies, or incomplete assumptions. Your task is not to manipulate appearances. Your task is to maintain the inner state as if the desired reality is already true. From this inner alignment, the visible world begins to conform. Gradually, subtly, the outer behavior starts to echo what has long existed in your imagination and feeling. Detachment also cultivates freedom. When you are not bound to appearances, you are no longer enslaved by uncertainty, doubt, or fear of loss. You are free to occupy your own inner reality, fully confident in the truth of what you have assumed. This freedom amplifies your magnetic power. People are drawn to certainty, to presence, and to the calm knowledge that someone is unconsciously irresistible. Your detachment from the visible does not make you cold or distant. It makes you centered, unwavering, and deeply attractive. The outer world bends, shifts, and arranges itself to reflect the inner reality you hold without compromise. In the end, detachment is not about what you see, it is about what you believe. When you stop reacting to appearances and remain faithful to the unseen reality where you are already their constant thought, the universe has no choice but to align the outer world with this inner truth. You stop chasing, you stop hoping, and you stop measuring yourself against someone else's actions. You become the source, the origin, the unshakable presence from which all attention, desire, and thought inevitably flow. Your inner state dictates everything. The visible world will always follow. Living from the end is the most powerful principle of manifestation, yet it is often misunderstood. Most people approach life hoping for results, waiting for someone to act, or longing for external validation before they allow themselves to feel fulfilled. Hoping is passive, uncertain, and weak. It keeps your desire suspended in a future that seems distant and unreliable. Living from the end, on the other hand, is active, complete, and immediate. It is the practice of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, of moving through life as if the reality you desire is already present, already accomplished, and already reflected in the consciousness of those you wish to influence. To live from the end is to speak, walk, and breathe as the person who is already in their thoughts, already occupying their heart, already leaving a mark on their mind. When you live from the end, you do not need to analyze or manipulate external circumstances. You no longer ask, "Do they think of me?" or "Will they act in my favor?" These questions arise from a place of lack, from the belief that the outer world must determine your sense of worth or the fulfillment of your desire. Instead, you shift your attention inward, focusing on the reality you wish to experience. You feel it, see it, and inhabit it fully. Every gesture, every word, every thought becomes a reflection of this inner reality. You do not wait for proof because you already know the truth. The state of being thought of, desired, and remembered is yours now in this present moment. Living from the end transforms the way you carry yourself. Your posture, your tone, your very energy vibrates with the certainty of fulfillment. There is a quiet confidence in the way you move, a calm assurance in the way you speak, and a magnetic quality in the way you interact with the world. People notice this, often unconsciously. They sense the alignment between your inner reality and your outer presence. Your assumption becomes a signal, a vibration that the universe cannot ignore. By inhabiting the end state fully, you create an invisible current that draws attention, interest, and desire toward you. You are no longer a seeker. You are already the destination. This principle requires faith and persistence. It is not enough to imagine the end occasionally. You must live in it consistently. Every thought that contradicts your assumption weakens the current you are creating, so you must guard your inner state vigilantly. When doubts arise, gently return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Speak as if it is already true, even when no external evidence appears. Walk as if you already occupy the space in their mind and heart, even if their outer behavior has not yet aligned. Breathe the reality of being unforgettable, desired, and constantly thought of. With each repetition, the inner conviction strengthens, and the outer world inevitably bends to reflect it. Living from the end also eliminates anxiety and impatience. When you exist in the completed state, waiting is unnecessary. You are already in possession of what you desire, and the universe is simply arranging the outer circumstances to match your inner reality. Every encounter, every word, every glance eventually becomes a confirmation of what you have assumed within. You are no longer dependent on external conditions, timing, or behavior. You are the source of fulfillment, and the world conforms naturally to your inner state. Ultimately, to live from the end is to become the embodiment of your desire before it is visibly realized. It is to occupy the reality you wish to see, feeling it as true, acting as if it is already done, and trusting the unseen forces to align the world accordingly. In this state, hope is replaced by certainty, waiting is replaced by action, and longing is replaced by the quiet, irresistible magnetism of someone who already exists in the heart and mind of another. You do not hope, they already think of you. You do not wish, they already desire you. You do not wait, they are already drawn to you. Living from the end transforms thought into reality, imagination into experience, and desire into undeniable truth. The universe is always working in perfect harmony with the state of consciousness you maintain. Every feeling, thought, and assumption you hold internally sends out a signal, a vibrational instruction that the universe is compelled to obey. When you sustain the inner feeling that you are unforgettable, magnetic, and constantly occupying the thoughts of another, you are, in essence, issuing a command that reality must conform to. The universe does not argue, negotiate, or delay. It simply organizes events, encounters, messages, and circumstances that reflect the state you hold within. This is the law of cause and effect. At the highest level, your inner act is always the cause, and the outer world is always the effect. To understand this principle fully, one must first grasp the importance of sustained feeling. A fleeting thought, a momentary visualization, or an occasional daydream is not enough. The universe responds to persistence, to the consistency of the inner state. When you feel completely unforgettable, when your consciousness vibrates with the certainty of being desired, thought of, and remembered, the universe arranges synchronistic events that align with that feeling. You begin to notice subtle confirmations, a text, a glance, an unexpected conversation, a coincidental encounter. These are not random, they are deliberate orchestrations, proof that your inner assumption has already taken root and is now flowering in the outer world. Many people fail to see this because they are too focused on the mechanics of life, on timing, on appearances. They expect proof first, and when it doesn't arrive, they doubt their own power. But creation does not operate in reverse. The inner act comes first, the outer confirmation follows. By sustaining the feeling that you are unforgettable, you maintain the primary cause. The universe, being the faithful mirror that it is, cannot help but reflect it back. Every situation, every interaction, every person you encounter becomes part of the grand tapestry that proves your assumption true. You do not force it, you simply remain faithful to the inner reality, knowing that all outer evidence will align in perfect sequence. This principle also emphasizes the effortless nature of manifestation. The universe does not require struggle, persuasion, or frantic effort. It responds to the quiet, unwavering authority of your inner conviction. When you inhabit the state of being unforgettable, you radiate a vibration that cannot be ignored. Circumstances, people, and events bend naturally, almost imperceptibly at first, and then unmistakably until your inner act is unmistakably reflected in reality. You notice how situations seem to fall into place, how encounters happen at just the right moment, and how messages, gestures, and signs appear as if the universe itself were conspiring on your behalf. It is crucial to remember that the universe confirms the inner act, not the outer desire. This means that your focus must remain on sustaining the inner feeling of being unforgettable rather than obsessing over specific outcomes or behaviors. You do not need to control how the confirmation appears, you only need to hold the inner state faithfully. As you do so, the universe arranges everything in perfect harmony, meetings, messages, thoughts, and coincidences all align to show you proof beyond doubt. Your inner certainty becomes the blueprint, and the outer world is the faithful reflection. Ultimately, the universe is a mirror of consciousness. Every feeling you cultivate, every inner assumption you persist in, is written into the fabric of reality. When you sustain the feeling of being unforgettable, the universe rushes to arrange events, encounters, and messages that prove it true. You become the cause, the architect, and the source, while the universe responds perfectly to your inner act. There is no delay, no randomness, and no failure. The outer world is compelled to confirm the state you maintain within. When you act from this truth, life itself becomes a testament to your inner conviction, showing you unmistakable evidence that you are, indeed, unforgettable, deeply desired, and impossible to ignore. In the end, everything begins and ends within you. The attention, the desire, the constant thought of another, it all flows naturally when you embody the state of being unforgettable. You are not chasing, not pleading, not hoping. You are living, breathing, and radiating the truth of your inner reality, and the universe, in its perfect wisdom, reflects it back without delay. Remember, the outer world is merely a mirror of the inner state, and when you remain faithful to the feeling of being desired, thought of, and unforgettable, life itself conspires to confirm it. Step into this knowing fully, act from it consistently, and watch as the universe arranges itself to prove your assumption beyond doubt. Thank you.